Indie Comics Deep Dive with Mona and Sam. Imagine opening your mail, right, and finding a single, faded photograph of an empty park bench.
Oh, that is immediately creepy.
Right. No return address, no note, just a slightly battered envelope and this completely contextless image.
I would throw that in the trash so fast.
See, I received something exactly like that last week.
Wait, really? You actually got that?
I did. And the wildest part is my immediate reaction wasn't to throw it away. I actually grabbed my keys, got in my car, and drove to every single park in the city to try and figure out the story behind it.
Oh, wow. You really committed to the bit.
I couldn't help it. There's just something incredibly intoxicating about a journalistic mystery, isn't there? Welcome to the Indie Comics Deep Dive. I'm Sam.
And I'm Mona.
And just to lay the groundwork, this show is normally sponsored by Lenovations Press, and we usually focus on their amazing lineup of comics. But today is a really special deep dive.
It is, yeah. We're stepping outside our usual wheelhouse to look at another independent publisher doing some just, well, incredible work, which is Corrales Studios Productions.
Right. Today's mission is to explore issue number 16 of the incredibly unique series, The Improbable Girl and the Wonder Kitty.
Which is just a staggering milestone, honestly. I mean, reaching 16 issues of a solo creator-owned comic is huge.
Absolutely. Oh, and a quick heads up, we'll be discussing specific plot details from our sources, which include series summaries, creator bios, the foreword, and the issue itself. So consider this your official spoiler warning.
And if you enjoy this deep dive, take a second to hit the like and subscribe button.
Please do. But yeah, before we jump into the gothic horror stuff, I was just thinking about that tiny comic convention we went to back in, 2018?
Oh yeah, the one down in the basement of that hotel.
That's the one. Walking down those artist alleys, seeing creators sitting behind folding tables with their self-published sacks, there is a raw, unfiltered energy there you just don't get at the massive corporate booths.
Oh, totally. Most indie comics fizzle out after issue 2 or 3 because the workload is crushing.
Right. The economic and creative drain is intense.
Yeah.
If you look at legacy houses, they have an assembly line, a writer, an inker, a colorist, a letterer. But hitting number 16 means one person is holding this entire universe in their head.
Which makes it a perfect time to transition to the actual characters driving this whole thing, because you have this grounded, character-driven narrative that anchors a comic hopping between wildly different genres.
Yeah, let's figure out who these two mailroom heroes are that find themselves facing off against vampires. So we've got Mari Selensky, right? The Improbable Girl.
Yes, and she is the driving force here. Mari is bold, sarcastic, super impulsive, and she's driven by this desperate curiosity to become a famous journalist.
She's basically the one sprinting toward the do not enter sign.
Exactly. She's deeply bored by ordinary life. And then her best friend and partner is Zandra Nico, who goes by Nico.
The Wonder Kitty.
Right. Nico is the cautious, analytical voice of reason reading the warning label, but she also just so happens to have the unique ability to transform into a feline form.
But I love how this series mixes this mundane newsroom life with absolute insanity. Our sources show how this series masterfully handles genre blending. They start out on these completely mundane journalism assignments, arguing over office coffee, dealing with annoying editors.
The standard office grind.
Exactly. And then suddenly, boom, they are spiraling into these extraordinary multi-genre adventures. Which brings us directly to the plot of issue number 16, The Baron of the Night, Part 1.
And this issue opens with a brilliant transition right into that world. Mari and Nico receive a mysterious invitation while complaining about regular work. They go on this road trip that is so perfectly Texan before it gets creepy.
Yeah.
So they hop into Maury's red car, complete with the license plate 488MRI, which is a fun detail.
Very subtle.
Right. And they take a road trip to Corpus Christi.
The sparkling city by the sea. They're driving down Ocean Drive looking for an address, and they find this terrifying Gothic mansion surrounded by dead trees.
And the visual contrast is striking there, but the creator uses dialogue to keep it grounded, like when Nico gets startled by a deer in the yard.
Oh my gosh, and Maury just says, "Oh dear." It is a terrible, wonderful pun.
It really is. But then the tone shifts completely. Nico gets this sudden chill, and she describes it as feeling like when you eat a powdered donut.
Which is hilariously specific, but it makes sense.
It's brilliant writing because it's absurd but evocative. You know, that weird, dry, powdery chill? And using tactile humor like that actually lowers the reader's defenses, making the jump scares hit harder later.
Yeah, and the chill is definitely justified because inside they meet Countess Nanakvishova. She's this exiled Varavanian noblewoman.
A pale, purple-skinned woman with pointed ears sitting in this huge throne-like chair.
And she's a vampire.
She is a vampire, but a tragic one. She tells them another powerful vampire, known as the Baron, is responsible for recent killing. She gives them a quest to stop him.
And to prove she's serious, she anoints herself with holy water from the River Jordan and just bursts into flames. Right there.
Which is a hell of an exit. But she gives them a strict deadline first. They have 14 days to stop the Baron.
Putting a ticking clock on a horror story escalates the pacing so well. From there, they're thrown into a formal high society ball, trying to blend in.
Which is hard enough, but then they are unexpectedly awarded this extremely rare medal called the Von Arthur Cross.
Yeah, our sources say fewer than 12 of these have ever been awarded. So suddenly, all eyes are on them, including the Baron.
And he is an imposing figure, an exiled Varavanian man of mystery.
Okay, great title.
Yes, he has the fangs and the sharp facial hair, and he wears this full military regalia. But he isn't just a monster looking for a quick meal.
He's got bigger plans.
Much bigger. He gives this mesmerizing hour-long speech to the crowd at the ball, outlining his plans to retake his homeland of Varavania by force.
So he's not just a guy biting necks in an alley.
Exactly. He's a political threat as much as a supernatural one. He's a warmonger, using his immortality to play geopolitical chess.
And naturally, he zeroes right in on Mari and Nico.
He does.
They have this incredibly tense standoff right on the ballroom floor. The Baron is trying to intimidate them, speaking with all this grand weight about how much blood will be spilled.
Being very theatrical.
Very. And Mari, true to form, does not back down one single inch. She looks this ancient warlord vampire right in the eye and calls him a dollar store Dracula.
I love that line. The sheer audacity of that moment. You have this creature of ancient evil, and she hits him with the most snappy, modern cynicism imaginable.
It's so dismissive.
It is. She tells him she's taken on much bigger threats than him.
Usually mortals cower before ancient vampires. Doesn't her sarcastic defiance kind of undercut the horror?
I mean, it's a fair question, but look at the broader context of the genre. This scene draws heavily from classic Hammer horror films. Think 1950s and 60s Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing.
Right. Very grand, very gothic.
Exactly. The vampires were aristocratic and fiercely proud warlords, not just monsters. So the creator modernizes that trope through Mari's hard-boiled reporter attitude.
Ah, so she's refusing to play his gothic game.
Yes. She treats him like a corrupt local politician. It angers him because narcissists hate to be mocked, which raises the stakes. It proves he's a manipulative psychological threat, not just a physical one.
That is terrifying in a completely different way. And we see that manipulation right away because the issue ends on a massive cliffhanger. The Baron is actively wooing their colleague, ace reporter Peggy O'Shea, on the dance floor.
It's a masterful setup for the rest of the arc, and executing a story with this much historical homage and detailed art is staggering when you realize it's done by one person.
Right. Zooming out a bit, let's talk about the creator, Joe Eli Corrales III. The man is a Texas teacher grading papers by day and illustrating Gothic mansions by night.
He balances a full-time career in education with writing, illustrating, coloring, lettering, and publishing this expansive world. It's the ultimate expression of the indie ecosystem.
And it's not just him in a vacuum. The cover art for this issue was illustrated by Terry S. Wood, who is known for her 90s indie series Wandering Star. That connects this directly to the 90s indie boom.
It does, and that community connection goes even deeper because Corrales is heavily involved in the United Fanzine Organization, or the UFO.
Which sounds like a pre-internet social network from the late 1960s. With him doing everything from writing to lettering, is there a risk of working in a creative echo chamber?
Well, not with the UFO. The indie ecosystem actually thrives on collaboration. The UFO acts as a crucial sounding board. They share their work, review comics, and contribute to the Tetragrammaton Fragments newsletter.
So fanzines and co-ops aren't just for promotion. They provide peer review. I know creators in this network allow crossovers, too.
Yeah, characters from Brian Amstatter's Chief Coffee Cup or Ken Bailey's The Mighty Energy Girl have made appearances. It proves solo creator doesn't mean working in isolation. That support network prevents burnout.
It's a pure testament to uncompromised storytelling. It reminds you, the listener, that you don't need a massive corporate studio to build a sprawling universe. Just a passion, a good friend, and a supportive community.
Absolutely. It's so inspiring.
If you want to grab a copy of this issue, Joe Eli Corrales III promotes and sells them through his Facebook page and various indie comic groups. All those links are right down in the show notes.
But before we go, I want to leave you, the listener, with a final thought to mull over.
Ooh, all right.
We have spent a lot of time analyzing Mari's impulsiveness versus Nico's caution and how that dynamic really drives the plot. But put yourself in their shoes for a moment.
Okay, I'm picturing it.
If you were standing in a foyer, suddenly handed a vial of sacred water by a burning vampire, and given exactly 14 days to stop an ancient nation-conquering warlord,
Yeah.
would you charge in head first like the Improbable Girl, or would you wish you could just turn into a cat and hide?
Well, I know exactly what my answer is, but I will never admit it on tape.
I think we all know.
Hey, anyway,
Yeah.
thank you so much for hanging out with us and exploring the wild world of Corrales Studios Productions. We will catch you on the next Deep Dive.